The afternoon sun filtered through the dusty windows of Rose's Cafe, a small diner tucked away on the outskirts of Portland. Margaret Chen sat alone in her usual corner booth, her walking cane resting against the worn vinyl seat. At 73, with her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, she'd been coming to this cafe every Thursday for the past decade, ever since her late husband had first brought her here. Margaret was carefully cutting into her grilled cheese sandwich when the door burst open. 5 young men swaggered in, their loud voices immediately dominating the quiet space. They couldn't have been more than 25, all wearing similar leather jackets and sporting aggressive attitudes that made the other diners look down at their plates. "Hey, old lady," one of them called out, a tall man with a shaved head and a scar above his eyebrow. "That's our booth." Margaret looked up calmly. "I believe I was here first, young man." The group erupted in mocking laughter. They surrounded her table, their presence menacing and deliberate. The leader, the one who'd spoken first, leaned down close to her face. "I don't think you heard me right. That is our booth." "Please," Margaret said quietly, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I'm just trying to have my lunch." "Do we look like we care?" Another one sneered, this one with multiple face piercings and tattoos crawling up his neck. He reached out and deliberately knocked her water glass over, sending liquid cascading across the table and into her lap. Margaret gasped, trying to move away, but her disability made it difficult to stand quickly. The young men laughed harder, their mockery cruel and unrelenting. The cafe owner, a timid man named Eddie, watched from behind the counter but did nothing, fear paralyzing him. "Maybe she needs help getting up," the leader said with false concern, reaching out as if to grab her arm roughly. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." The voice came from the doorway, deep, calm, and carrying an unmistakable note of authority. All 5 men turned to see who had spoken. A man in his late 40s stood in the entrance, wearing a simple button-down shirt and jeans. He was of average height and build, with graying temples and glasses that gave him a professorial air. Nothing about his appearance seemed particularly threatening. The leader scoffed. "And who are you supposed to be, old man?" "Her bodyguard." "I'm her son," Daniel Chen replied, walking slowly into the cafe. "And I'm asking you politely to leave her alone." The group exchanged glances and burst into laughter again. "Oh, we're real scared," the one with piercings said. "What are you gonna do, bore us to death with a lecture?" Daniel reached his mother's booth and gently helped her stand, his movements careful and practiced. "Mom, are you hurt?" "I'm fine, sweetheart," Margaret said, though her dress was soaked and her hands were shaking. "These young men were just leaving." "No, we weren't," the leader growled, stepping forward aggressively. "In fact, I think." He never finished his sentence. Daniel's hand moved so fast it was almost a blur, catching the leader's wrist mid-gesture in what looked like a simple but immobilizing grip. The young man's eyes widened in shock and sudden pain. "Let me introduce myself properly," Daniel said, his voice still calm but now carrying steel beneath it. "My name is Daniel Chen. I spent 22 years in the Marine Corps, including 3 tours overseas. The last 15 years, I've been teaching defensive tactics to law enforcement officers across the Pacific Northwest." The leader tried to pull away but found he couldn't move. His face reddened with effort and embarrassment. "I came here to have lunch with my mother, just like I do every Thursday," Daniel continued. "And I'm going to ask you one more time, very politely, apologize to her and leave. Right now." The other 4 men started to move forward, but Daniel's free hand came up in a simple stop gesture that somehow carried more authority than any weapon could have. They froze mid-step. "Think carefully," Daniel said. "There are security cameras in here. Eddie's already called the police, isn't that right, Eddie?" From behind the counter, Eddie nodded vigorously, his phone clutched in his hand. "So you have 2 choices," Daniel continued, releasing the leader's wrist but not stepping back. "Option 1, you apologize to my mother, leave peacefully, and maybe learn something from this. Option 2, you escalate this, catch assault charges, and I defend my elderly, disabled mother using exactly as much force as necessary. Which, given my training, won't end well for any of you." The silence in the cafe was absolute. Even the coffee machine seemed to have stopped hissing. The leader rubbed his wrist, his bravado crumbling. He looked at his friends, then at Margaret, then at the floor. We didn't mean. The words you're looking for, Daniel said quietly, are I'm sorry, A long moment passed. Then, almost in a whisper, the leader said, I'm sorry, All of you, Daniel said, looking at each of the others in turn. One by one, they mumbled their apologies, unable to meet Margaret's eyes. Now leave, Daniel said. And think about the kind of men you want to be. Because right now, you're not impressing anyone, least of all yourselves. The 5 men shuffled out of the cafe, their aggressive swagger completely gone. As the door closed behind them, the tension in the room evaporated. The other diners began to whisper among themselves, and Eddie came out from behind the counter. Mr. Chen, thank you, Eddie said breathlessly. I'm so sorry I didn't. Daniel held up a hand. It's okay, Eddie. Fear is natural. But maybe invest in a better security system and some training for situations like this. He turned to his mother, his expression softening completely. Come on, Mom. Let's get you cleaned up. Then I'm buying you lunch at the nice restaurant across town. Margaret smiled up at her son, pride shining in her eyes. You didn't hurt them. I didn't need to, Daniel replied, helping her toward the door. Sometimes the threat of capability is enough. And sometimes, young men just need to be reminded that strength isn't about who you can intimidate, it's about who you choose to protect. As they left the cafe, Margaret squeezed her son's arm. Your father would have been proud of you today. Daniel smiled. He taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's doing the right thing despite it. And he taught me to honor you, always. I'm just following his example. Outside, the Portland afternoon continued peacefully, and at Rose's cafe, the other diners returned to their meals, perhaps with a renewed faith that sometimes, quiet strength and simple decency could still prevail.
Hello everyone. If you are enjoying this video and finding it helpful, don't forget to support our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, press the like button, and share this video with your friends and family. Also, make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. We regularly upload amazing, informative, and entertaining content just for you. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to bring even better content in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and welcome to our growing community.